There is a loud noise from upstairs every day. After the door-to-door reminder, instead, the other party retaliated even more severely. The day before I was going to move out, the whole family upstairs was killed. I was awakened by a loud noise late at night. I woke up from the dream and couldn't help shaking. Splitting headache. It's 504 upstairs again. My heartbeat is getting heavier. I got up quickly and took some medicine. I couldn't help but take out my phone and call the police, but it hung up before the call was connected. Before, I called the police once because of the noise upstairs. But it's no use. The noise behind is even more stressful. I thought I would move out tomorrow. Endure this last day. In the dark, I reached for the noise-canceling earplugs under my pillow. Put it into your ears. Cover with quilt. Still can hear the faint noise. After being exhausted by the noise, I fell asleep with difficulty. Until noon the next day, I was awakened by a rapid knock on the door. Drowsy, I got up and opened the door. 2 policemen were standing outside the door. The policeman said, "You are the resident of this house?" Nightmare? I nodded numbly. "We want to ask you something. Is it convenient to come in and chat?" So I invited the police in. When the police came in, I found several large cardboard boxes and luggage bags in the room. "You're moving?" "Yes. It's so noisy upstairs. I have mental problems. Last night, his family deliberately scared me awake." Police comrades, hear what I say. Slight change in eyes. "Last night, but their family was wiped out 2 days ago. The body was found this morning. I was so scared. My heart started beating violently again. But I heard a loud noise upstairs last night. I also called the police." Policeman with a stern face. I pulled out my phone and showed it to them. It is a record of a phone call that was broadcast but not connected. Then I thought about it. I'm moving away. During the day, I scolded him in the group, then hung up. The police said seriously that we asked several residents living near Wulin Temple. Said there was no noise at all last night. How can it be? I really heard it. The noise has been particularly loud in the past half-month. I have to take medicine and wear earplugs every day to fall asleep. Hear my words. Then another policeman stood up, walked around the house. "What's this?" I looked up at the policeman, standing next to a cabinet, pointing to the black fruit knife on the dining table. "Why is there blood on it?" "I accidentally cut my hand while packing yesterday," I said as I raised my index finger. "There is still a band-aid on it." The police looked at my fingers. "This is suspicious evidence. We're taking away." Then he put the knife into an evidence bag. I actually wish they would take everything away. Prove my innocence. Because I didn't kill them, although I have rehearsed killing them countless times in my mind. "Where were you the day before yesterday morning?" "I took medicine at home. Wear earplugs to sleep." "Is there anyone who can testify?" I shook my head. "Then tell me about the contradiction with 504. I calmed down. Tried to remember. I moved to this neighborhood last year. When I first moved here, there will be some noise from upstairs occasionally. I thought we were neighbors, so forget it. Until one night, there was a loud noise in his house. Wake me up. This has been going on for several days. I couldn't help myself and knocked on his door. I had a good attitude, almost begging them. Could you please ask him to keep his voice down? I have to work during the day. There are old people and children living around. Who knew that the male owner of 504 heard this? Swear at me directly. Which of your dog ears heard the sound coming from my house? Who lives their life without making some noise? You can't stand it. Get out of here. I'll beat you up if you keep talking nonsense. I was directly scolded. I haven't waited for my reaction yet. A woman walked out from behind the male host. How loud is the sound when you yell at me? Why didn't I kill you, bitch? For a while, I was so angry that I started shaking all over. Take out your phone and say Li Lao Ni. I'm calling the police. Who knows, he coughed. Spit a mouthful of yellow pus directly on my shoes. Then he said, report it. If you have the guts, let the police arrest me. Then he closed the door. I was so angry that I was going crazy. I held back my tears and called 110. Soon the police arrived. But when the police came, the man in 504 immediately changed his face. Sorry. I will pay attention to it later. The police also said to things. If you see a man with a good attitude, you should leave. I yelled at the man and asked him to pay for my shoes. The man still smiled and felt embarrassed. I didn't see clearly. I'll wipe it for you. Then he took out a crumpled piece of paper, bent down and wiped it for me, and he kept apologizing to me. The police also came out to smooth things over. It is inevitable that there will be quarrels between neighbors. Be considerate of each other. Seeing this, my anger subsided a lot. No further investigation. I thought it was over. Who knew that the next day when I opened the door, I will never forget that scene. Living because of making noise. The whole family was killed. The police are questioning me now. They think I'm the murderer. The reason is that some time ago, I had a big argument with my upstairs neighbor. Even took action. What I didn't expect was, the next day when I opened the door, I was stunned. There's garbage all over my doorstep. Even the door was slashed with a knife. There is a smell of urine on the wall. I was so angry that I was shaking. Rushed to the door of the upstairs residence and pounded on it frantically. It took 3 full minutes. 504 is open. The oil still comes out. Tired middle-aged man. Are you sick? What's wrong with you so early in the morning? You have the disease. Why do you throw garbage at my door? You're still peeing at the door. Are you a dog? Who the hell are you calling a dog? Who threw garbage at your door? Which eye of yours saw that I threw it? Talking, the man pushed me hard. I fell to the ground. Then the man spat on me again. Slammed the door. Didn't give me a chance to retort. I was so angry that I cried on the spot. There is no surveillance in the corridors of the old residential area. The garbage at the door must be theirs. The police officer continued to ask, and later, his family's acts of revenge became more and more frequent. Smashing pots in the middle of the night to make noise, throwing garbage at the door, throwing dirty water on my balcony. I went back to look for it a few more times. They pointed their fingers at me and scolded me. When the police arrived, they pretend to be honest. Until later, I live in fear every day. Even now at night they are up there scolding me. I dare not say anything back. I can only cover my ears and tremble. I really want to move away. But my salary is too low. I can only endure it. Later, they even said I was in an illegal business, bringing men home every day. The landlord found out and asked me to check out immediately. Don't mess up his house. Not only that, I also didn't sleep well. Feeling dazed all day. Something went wrong at work. I was fired by the company. I thought I was done with this. Police comrades, can you sympathize with me? Unexpectedly, one of the policemen snorted. Now their whole family has been wiped out. Things are extremely bad. Your story is well told. Unfortunately, you still exposed your true colors. The police took out a photo and put it in front of me. The photo shows a large pool of dark red sticky blood. There is a pale hand in the corner of the picture. The point is not the hand. On the edge of blood, there is a missing place, like an incomplete footprint. This is the small footprint left by the murderer at the crime scene. Our criminal investigation department has identified. The murderer was wearing size 39 shoes. I guess you are size 39. My head buzzed. I do wear a size 39 shoe. No wonder the police were convinced that I was the one who killed someone. How can I clear myself of suspicion? Silence for a few seconds. I said slowly, Comrade police officer, you can't just buy a size 39 shoe print. I'm considered the murderer. We will apply for a search warrant for your house. But now please follow us. I agree with you. Just prove that I'm innocent. I am certain there will be no evidence in this room. When the police led me out the door, there are already a bunch of neighbors outside. I walked out with my head down. Listen to their undisguised words. I know it's Hamburger. She's actually a girl. How cruel. The most vicious woman's heart. That family used to bully him. It's really more than that, little girl. All kinds of insults and comments entered my ears. As the police led me to the elevator, I looked at the crowd. Suddenly I saw a figure. A man in gray clothes. I was stunned. It's him who did it. I remember. That man is the resident of room 503 upstairs. Zhang Lei. I saw him and 504 quarreling over noise. And he had fought with 504 at that time. And my dirty shoes. I think it's too disgusting. I threw it into the trash can downstairs when I went out. I didn't expect that when I came back. I saw him rummaging around in the trash can. He must have picked up my shoes to kill someone. In an instant I seemed to understand everything. Then he excitedly shouted that it was him. He is the murderer. I raised my hand and pointed to the back of the crowd. That's the man in gray. The police and neighbors looked in the direction of my finger. I watched for a long time, but nothing happened. I stamped my feet anxiously. You guys go quickly. He is the murderer. Seeing that I was making more and more noise, one of the policemen said, but there is no one wearing gray clothes. Living because of making noise, the whole family was killed. I was taken back to the police station for questioning as a murderer. And just now, when I was taken away, I saw the murderer standing in the crowd. But the police were indifferent to my calls. Ignore the murderer. In the interrogation room, a bright light hit my face. I stared at the two policemen in front of me. Why don't you catch him? He is the murderer. One of the policemen shouted. You hid the murder weapon and shoes. Looking down at my handcuffed hands. Calm down. I didn't kill anyone. How do I know where those things are? Police officer adult, I know it's no use saying anything now, but you have to provide evidence when you do things. I suddenly got angry. You guys should show me the evidence. Don't fucking treat me like an easy target. The police officer was irritated by me, but I held back and didn't have an attack. Just glaring at me. The next second, I looked pitiful again. Why don't you go find Zhang Lei from 503? I also saw him fighting with 504. The police officer's mouth twitched. We have already investigated. The man in 903 is not called Zhang Lei. He was not at home when the incident happened. I was confused. This policeman must be trying to trick me. Then tricked me into confessing. Thinking about, I get more and more angry. At this time, there was a knock on the door. A middle-aged man wearing glasses walked in. The police officer said, we have invited a psychiatric analyst. We suspect you have mental problems. How can it be? You are slandering me. I'm going to tell you. The officer ignored me. It's the middle-aged man with glasses. Pass me a piece of paper. We're going to give you a test. Then he asked me a few questions. I shook my head in denial. He continued to ask. I continued to deny. It seems like every question has an answer. I really have a mental illness. Looking at the doctor, mouth opening and closing. It made a deafening noise. Until he left. I feel like I've been drained of energy. Sitting in a chair, dazed. Then the police officer came in and woke me up. Nightmare. You can go back. I was very surprised. Finally, I can go. I return home soon. Open your phone. Looking at the unread messages from Jujia in the community group, I also saw a video in it. This is the scene outside the elevator yesterday. Only me in the video, pointing at a certain place and yelling. I followed the photographer's lens. I found out there really are no men in gray there. Is it really me who is hallucinating? And the people in the community group are still mocking me, talking more and more. I heard he did that. This will make the neighborhood a mess. Nonsense. I started to reply angrily. No, I'm not a prostitute. I didn't kill anyone. I don't have any blood. There's no blood on my clothes. There's no blood on my shoes. The police have no evidence. That footprint is not mine. I'm scrolling like crazy. I didn't expect that I would be kicked out of the group by the administrator soon. I sit on the sofa, breathing heavily. I ran to the window and yelled to the night sky. I didn't kill anyone. At night I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. I didn't bring my earplugs tonight, because the noise is gone. And just as I was about to fall asleep, suddenly aloud, I opened my eyes. The familiar noise came from upstairs again. I'm so excited again. Take out your phone and start recording. It took 2 full minutes. Then I called Officer Zhang. Come quickly. That voice appeared again. There's someone upstairs. I was so anxious that I almost cried. I can finally prove my innocence. 5 minutes later, Officer Zhang came with a few people. I held the phone and said I recorded it this time. Listen, start recording. Everyone held their breath. Until 2 minutes later, Officer Zhang stared at me. You are kidding me. I panicked. What happened? Why did the sound disappear? Officer Zhang sighed. Nightmare Dr. Liu has told me you may have a mild case of schizophrenia and multiple personalities. I looked at him in disbelief. Is this all just something I imagined? My head started to hurt again. I started retching, body twitching. Impossible, this is impossible. Then I passed out. When I opened my eyes again, I was already lying on a hospital bed. Officer Jiang saw me wake up. The doctor said, it might be the torture you received from the Wulin Temple family, bringing you great pressure. The pent-up anger and fear inside you are building up. Until the day it exploded, you start to have hallucinations. You're lying. Officer Jiang ignored me. Then another personality is created, help you do things you normally wouldn't do. Then he showed me a video. My neighbor secretly filmed me some time ago. The picture of me talking to the air in the room. I was stunned. In fact, we also went to your company to ask, because I often yell in the company. I was fired for going crazy for no reason. I finally couldn't bear it anymore. Started crying. The police sent me to a mental hospital. I left the neighborhood, away from pressure. The spirit seems to have improved suddenly, and that helped me. The revenge personality never appeared again. Until later, all residents around Wulin Temple have moved away. After months of investigation, the police found the Wulin Temple family has complex social relationships. Those who want to kill them, you can line up from your doorstep to the vegetable market. Even though the police officer, sometimes he would come to me to find out about the situation. But my personality, like it was completely hidden. The case seems to have been left there. 3 months later, I'm out of hospital. I moved to a new place. Started a new job. I know the police are still watching me. But I'm not afraid. I don't care about their surveillance. Because I'm not the murderer. I did all this just to let the murderer off the hook. As long as the police pay attention to me, the real murderer will escape. Of course, I'm not mentally ill. No hallucinations. No auditory hallucinations. Let the police suspect me of being the murderer. In fact, Zhang Lei is the murderer. No, he's not called Zhang Lei. His name is Liu Wen. In fact, I don't know him. I just heard other neighbors mention it. Liu Wen's child suffers from congenital heart disease. Since the birth of my son, every night I would cry loudly because of the noise. After my health deteriorated. Later, Liu Wen went to discuss with Chen Tian from 504 but to no avail. Chen Tian is taking revenge on Liu Wen just like she took revenge on me. Liu Wen's son's condition worsened, entered the ICU. I know Liu Wen wants to take revenge on Chen Tian's family. That night through the surveillance camera installed at the door of Chen Tian's house, I learned that it only took 5 minutes. Liu Wen made the noise from upstairs disappear completely. But I found Liu Wen's flaws in the surveillance video. When he came out, his clothes and shoes were covered in blood. I want to protect him. It just so happens that we both wear size 39 shoes. So I started packing my luggage and waiting for the police. When visiting, you'll think I'm trying to escape. More than these. And a bloody knife. The medicine I take. My auditory hallucinations. And my changeable personality. Of course, the few sentences I posted in the group, all to remind Liu Wen. Remind him to dispose of the murder weapon. Clothes and shoes promptly. After Liu Wen moved out, I never saw him again. I don't know if his son's illness has recovered. I know that as long as the police monitor me for a day, he'll be safe for one day. Anyway, my acting is pretty good, even if I have to bear all the infamy.